Chris Yandick, CYInterview, covering Las Vegas and the world. Today we welcome to CYInterview longtime friend Rob Gill of Epic Financial Strategies, LLC, who's been a sponsor. On March 26th, Rob's got a wealth summit that deals with performance in a bunch of areas. Today we are here to talk about performance. Rob wanted to let our audience know that his mission is to eliminate financial ignorance and help individuals and families achieve true financial freedom, not just health. He is also the founder of the Epic Elite AAU basketball team. Rob, thanks so much for joining us today. How are you?
I appreciate that. And for the audience and for the purposes of integration, coordination, and elevation at all times, I also am the co-founder of a very advanced tax planning division. It's called TrueFit Tax and Wealth, which is really meant for the business owner to customize for them. We don't necessarily believe in accountants that work for the government. We wanted to create tax attorneys that actually use the tax code in the favor of the business entrepreneur, because on average, every business owner overpays in taxes about $40,000. So we've added that to our elevation. As proud as I am as Epic Elite AAU, I did that for my two boys. It was really something as an afterthought because I myself grew up as a basketball player. So I wanted to create a program that saw every kid truly fit their skill set. After 2 years, we got 15 Division I scholarships, 10 Division II scholarships. And I think that's really important in the NIL world because, as you may know, Bob or Chris, the NIL has changed the college game, and to get 18-year-olds not have to go to a prep school to get a scholarship is a big deal.
Thank you for sharing that, Rob. Very insightful. We're going to talk about all that stuff in the next 20 so minutes. Also joining us today, prominent Las Vegas boxing trainer Bob Santos. Last year, he took Mario Barrios to a win over Manny Pacquiao here in Las Vegas. Bob has also trained prominent fighters, including David Morrell Jr. and, of course, Jake Paul. Bob, thanks for joining us on CYInterview again. As always, how are you?
Great to be with you, as always.
Rob, why don't you first just tell us what's happening on March 26th?
So we're having what we call the Wealth, Tax, and Mindset Summit under one roof. You know, I grew up cold calling in the 90s. Co-founder of CYInterview, Jay Bilstein, was and still is, a voice that has trained me from day one. And I used to make 400 dials a day, being able to buy stocks over the phone, not really understanding the full financial services industry. And as time went on, I began to understand the different parts of overall planning. As a result of that, I opened up Epic Financial Strategies, which has a insurance division, a wealth management division. But there was always one thing missing, which was a tax division that ties into a fractional family office. So Bob, think of it like if I'm going to, slip, come under, double, you know what I mean? So it's really understanding all the different maneuvers and the lack of communication that happens with all the financial professionals. You as a trainer would understand if you're training somebody, all the people that are part of that training have to be on the same page for the benefit of the fighter. Well, we do that for individuals, business owners, and entrepreneurs when it comes to their money, time, freedom.
Well, Bob is a boxing gym owner among a manager and a trainer.
There you go.
Bob, why don't you tell me about, you can train these guys in the ring. They can be the greatest ever. They can be champions. But they got to have everything else going in their life, the mental stuff, the family, the relationships, the money. What do you help with on that side?
Well, a lot of times, it's a dicey situation in terms of, with fighters, you got the family, you got the entourage, you got people in and around them. So, if they come to me, obviously, I'm going to give them advice with, what I've been in this pro game over 36 years. My cousin fought in the 1956 Olympics. So, my family's been in boxing over 100 years. So I think I have a lot of knowledge in a lot of different areas as far as business goes. A lot of my fighters obviously become multi-millionaires, but at the end of the day, if they do approach me, I want to guide them in the right direction, but I don't want to overstep my bounds though, realizing, hey, I am the coach. I'm not, their financial advisor or their manager. And most of the guys that come to me already have those elements and those parts in play, but the ones that do, of course, I want to guide them in the right direction and see them be successful. So I try to put them with the best possible people that I can. Shelley Finkel, who managed, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Pernell Whitaker, was in music with the Beatles, Mick Jagger, and had a lot of knowledge in that area. Al Heyman, obviously, that worked with Michael Jackson and those guys. And so a lot of my fighters have been managed already by those guys. And the guys that don't, a lot of times I try to lead them in directions with people that have, a proven track record of success, obviously.
Rob, as a financial planner, what are your thoughts?
Well, I just think Bob said something truly amazing. And this is the challenge for Bob, right? Because, you know, if he is in the heart and soul of the fighter, in his nervous system, right, the relationship is high level. But Bob's expertise, as maybe for his personal world, I'm hearing he's owner of the gym. I'm hearing all the different revenue streams that he creates, not just as a trainer, not just as a manager, right? But if he's going to take Chris Yandak, let's say, who's up and coming, and says, hey, go see Rob Gill, and for whatever reason financially it doesn't work out, that's tough for Bob, right? So he's got to be careful on who that's what I'm hearing, Bob, that who you kind of refer your fighters to, because at the end of the day, money has such a charge. And I'm not saying I made this up, but people get fake confusion when the money runs out, and as time goes on, that story changes, right? So I think of Jay Bilstein, and I learned this with Tony Robbins, the 3 S's, right? What is that? What state you're in mentally. You could be in peak state right before a fight. 6 years later, when your money's out, you could be overweight and divorced, and now that state is different, which means that story is different, which means now all of a sudden there's that fake confusion. So that's a really important dynamic. I really kind of picked up on that, and thanks for sharing that, Bob. What I find amazing is his who he's trained, right? I can't imagine all the wisdom he has. He could probably see a fighter come in right now and say, hey, listen, think 3 years ahead and know the path that kid could be on, and maybe how to help him in that scenario besides what he's going to do in the ring. But obviously his reputation precedes himself.
Bob, thoughts?
Well, again, head on the nail. You know, I got to be very, very careful in what I'm doing. You know, as far as a coach, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to live and die by the decisions that I make, and I understand that. And you know, we're in a business, especially with me. It's the ultimate in capitalism. Mm-hmm. What have you done for me lately? You know, in boxing, you know, it's not basketball. You know, I know a lot of basketball people. Rex Walters is a good friend of mine that coached at USF, played the NBA. So to his point, talking about basketball, and I know a lot of pro baseball players, pro football players, but in professional prize fighting, we don't have next week. It's today. There's not, hey, we're going to get them tomorrow night, or, you know, it's a double header. No, it's today, and it's now, and it's what have you done for me lately. And it's the ultimate in capitalism, because you know, you win. You look at Usyk, you know, he was making what, 3, 4, 5 million a fight. He wins, he's up to 15. Now, I think his last payday with Turkey was $140 million for one fight. So, but if you lose, you know, you drop like the Titanic. So in that regard, I'll live and die by those decisions. But now when you move forward and you get into situations where it's like he said, go see this guy, go do this, see this guy, and then they're making bad decisions, then a lot of times later on in life, you know, your reputation precedes itself, though. Hey, this didn't work out, or that didn't work out. And so for me, for the most part, I try to stay out of that element. I stay in my lane just as a coach. But if they do come to me, or I'll try to guide them in the right direction, because, you know, a lot of times though too, you can see their talent is second to none, but you can see their lifestyle and the things that they're doing is on a completely different course, and you can see where it's headed no matter how much money they're going to make. So you always want to see them be successful in and after the sport of boxing. But at the end of the day, we all got decisions that we got to make. And unfortunately, sometimes a lot of these guys that come from third world backgrounds don't have a good education with finance, and just don't grasp it, or don't care to grasp it. It's a recipe for disaster. And it's a sad situation a lot of times, especially with fighters on the decision making that they do.
Yeah, and Chris, can I add something to what Bob just said? Because I thought it was great. And Bob, you know, I think of the NFL and I think of the NBA. They have pension plans, right? Boxing doesn't. And, you know, it's amazing to me that there's not even disability plans. And I understand why. Insurers don't want to take on that risk, because people are getting punched in the face and in the head, right? So but somebody's got to figure that out. I don't know who it is, but somebody's got to figure it out. I even think of Floyd Mayweather, right? Because back in the 80s and 90s, boxers didn't own their own promotional company. He learned from his dad to own his own promotional company, right? Same thing as Oscar De La Hoya. So they not only made the money as fighters, managers, whatever, not the trainer, but manager and promote. That's why he was making so much money beyond his pride. But when I hear that he has to fight again because his money ran out, that to me is frightening, right? Because he got it. At least I believe he did. And maybe his money isn't running out. I'm not here. I'm just repeating what I hear out there. I don't know if it's true or not. But the fact that and he's in great shape, and I'm sure he's going to look good. But the fact that he's got to take on a fight right now, a big ticket fight, just to kind of catch up on some money that's either been stolen, lost, or misappropriated. And he's a guy that actually owned a promotional company, right? So I think about that. That's pretty scary. But anyway, Chris, back to you. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Absolutely, Rob. Bob, tell me about, we've talked about it, of course. You take Mario Barrios to a win over Manny Pacquiao last year at the MGM Grand, David Morrell Jr., Jake Paul. What are some of the highlights in your career, the guys you've worked with in the fights? Like, what are the moments for you?
Well, probably, I think one of the best moments for me was taking a kid, Robert Guerrero, at 15 years old that nobody wanted, and guiding him across 6 weight classes. And a lot of times people forget this, though, too, in boxing. Obviously there's weight classes for a reason. And they hear, well, Robert Guerrero lost to Floyd Mayweather, but they don't realize is that Robert Guerrero started as a 122-pounder. We went all the way up to 147 pounds and challenged Floyd Mayweather for the welterweight championship of the world. We won the 26-pound world title. We won the 30-pound world title, the 35-pound world title, skipped 40 and went to 47, obviously, for the big money to fight Floyd Mayweather. We fell short, but people don't realize, he was 6 weight classes smaller. So I'd say that was a huge, huge highlight for me, to take a kid that nobody wanted, nobody believed in, no promoter believed in. We had no promotional firm behind us, and took on all challenges and got to the elite level of the sport, top of the food chain. So that was a big moment for me. And then obviously what made me trainer of the year worldwide, a lot of people don't realize is in boxing, it's global. It's, it's India, it's China, it's Japan, it's Russia, it's Ukraine, it's Venezuela, Mexico, Puerto Rico. It's a global sport. So for me to become trainer of the year and to take 2 guys in one night and become world champions, I guess that would be the highlight for me, taking a Hector Garcia, who was a 44-1 underdog, and do that. No disrespect to football, baseball, or basketball, but when you're coach of the year in basketball, it's pretty much here in the United States. But to be coach of the year worldwide in boxing, it's a global sport. So for me, I guess that would be the highlight.
What does your T-shirt say, Bob?
Bob Santos, Sports Illustrated, Ring Magazine, Trainer of the Year, worldwide, baby.
Love it.
Well, you've accomplished all that, and you will continue to accomplish much here in Las Vegas and beyond. And also, just to note, obviously, Rob, we don't really know what the story is behind Floyd Mayweather, but taking a fight at this age is just risky.
I agree. He could have all his money. We actually don't know that, but the money that he's made has been incredible beyond just fighting. On the business side of it, he's done a phenomenal job. I think of in basketball, typically high-level coaches' kids are really good at the business side, maybe not as good as the basketball player side. And I think of that with Floyd. And, Bob, this better than anybody else. Getting punched in the face at this age could be harmful, although he's been ducking punches for 40 years. So who knows?
Well, what's interesting, again, like to Robert Guerrero, he came to my gym the other day. I'm actually training his son now. And his last fight was about 2 years ago, and he's in his mid-40s now. And he's a multi-millionaire. And I know, obviously, because I was not only his coach, I was his manager. So he's done real well financially. And he tells me, Bob, I want to come back. And so sometimes, it's unfortunate. I don't know Floyd's situation. I actually coach a couple of guys that he promotes. I don't know his situation. I guess the only one that knows that is him, the accountant, the IRS, I guess, right? But anyway, that being said, I know he's made over $1 billion in his career and the revenue streams that he's had and things of that nature. But, I don't know. It's unfortunate sometimes in this sport. A lot of times people will say, like, you look at Cassius Clay with Muhammad Ali. And the reason I say Cassius Clay is because Chuck Bodak, who worked with me actually with Robert Guerrero as his last world champion, worked with a young Cassius Clay who became Muhammad Ali. It was his first coach and CYOs and things of that nature. And it's the unfortunate thing about the fighters is the ones that become great, the thing that hurts them the most, because a lot of people are like, well, he's got all this money, or why is he fighting still? Or some of the guys that still have a tremendous amount of money, or why are they fighting? I said, well, unfortunately, what makes them great and what makes them who they are is why we're not them. The reason they get up after they get knocked down is because they always believe that they're going to win. They always believe that they're going to overcome. And that's what made them great fighters. But ultimately, in the long run, most times that's what actually hurts them, because they believe they can do it one more time. They believe that they can get up one more time. And what makes them great in the long run usually is what hurts them.
Although we do live in a different time right now with functional medicine, and we know that some fighters are always at the healthiest they could be all the time. So maybe Floyd's going to fight till he's being 100. He's going to be worth $10 billion. Who knows?
I wouldn't be fighting at this age. I wouldn't recommend him to do it. But again, like a lot of some of these guys, they just, Hector Garcia comes to mind for me. I'm very happy with him. It's been a couple years now. I took him to his first world title, had some big wins, fought Gervonta Davis. And I know he's doing well. Another kid that I manage has 24 apartment complexes, and
amazing. So I love hearing that. I love that.
And he goes, Coach, I have no desire to come back.
I love that. I love hearing that. That's the entrepreneur. I love that. Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
I don't mean to break in, but we got a special guest, former boxer, current actor, and of course the director of Through My Father's Eyes, the Ronda Rousey story. Gary Stretch is here with us from London. Gary, how are you? Thanks for joining in.
I'm so sorry. I didn't think it was. I thought it was going to be tonight, my time. But
you're back reunited with Bob since the Barrios Pacquiao fight. So you guys are reunited again. How about that?
Amazing.
Yes. How are you guys?
Gary, we're all good. Listen, Gary, I want you to chime in. You are a fighter. You're at the top of your game. You went on to other things in your life. Talk about what that was like.
Well, I mean, it's. I don't know exactly what you want me to say. People have always asked me how did you cross over from boxing to film, and I've always said it's very similar. In many ways, it's all about preparation. When you get a script, it's the work's done. Not on the set, the work's done before you get to the set. You've got to. So it's a lot of prep, like a fighter. It's all the prep, the training, and the harder you work before the film or the fight, the easier the process is. So I've always found that boxing taught me discipline, I guess, and give me some structure. So when I went into film, and also I was very dedicated to try and I didn't want to wing it as an actor. I ended up studying for almost 20 years with an amazing coach.
Wow. That's amazing.
So, yeah, and I got lucky. I met a lady in LA. She worked with Brando, Sidney Poitier, Dustin Hoffman, Anthony Hopkins. I mean, the best. And I met her on a parking meter, and I ended up studying with her. I'd been retired from boxing a week. Didn't have a clue what I was going to do, and I met this woman by accident. I went to visit a friend.
Gary, can I ask you a quick question? I don't mean to interject. I'm so fortunate to be on this call with you, and I'm grateful.
Yeah.
Bob Santos, amazing. I can't believe how lucky I am to be on this call. You don't know me, but here's what I'm listening. Here's what I'm hearing you say. The discipline of boxing, you then translate to becoming an actor and took that discipline to acting. Is that what I'm hearing right now? Did I really...
Absolutely. And to be a good actor, you have to know who you are, and I think boxing taught me that too. You have to dig deep as an actor and go to places. It's sometimes scarier than fighting for me, when you've got to be vulnerable. And so, the sheer discipline and the structure of boxing, I just put it into my acting. And my coach used to say, I used to sit in every class. There was the beginners and intermediate and advanced, and then the class where all the major stars were in, which was a very select group. Because of my want to learn so much, she let me sit in every class. And I was literally, I'd go to school at 9 in the morning, I'd come home 10 at night, and I'd do it 5-6 days a week for years.
Amazing.
and because I wanted to learn the profession, and there is so much involved in it, as you know, with the fight game. The same. It's the details that win fights. The small, the extra length that you go and prep and all of that thing. It all comes into play when it matters in fights, and it's the same in film.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
want to just break in quickly here, if you don't mind, Rob.
Yeah.
Of course, Gary is the former WBC International Super Welterweight Champion. He just produced a movie that's out on Amazon Prime Video called Devil's Play with Mickey Rourke. And he's got a big movie role coming up that he can't talk about yet, I still believe, but he's working on that as well. And he transitioned into a life after boxing, and it's just a phenomenal story. And I'm so glad that Bob and Gary are back together again today as well, besides you being here, Rob. We're so grateful that you're all here.
I'm super grateful. And I do have a question, though, real fast. I don't want to, and I wish we had more time. I feel bad. I'm preparing for my big thing.
We can always have enough. We can always bring everybody back up.
I have a question for Bob. Nacho Berenstein. Did you ever work with him? Are you familiar with him? Obviously,
I'm familiar with him. Obviously, Juan Manuel Marquez is a great friend of mine. I've done a lot of fights where he's been a commentator, and had a lot of my fights on there in pro boxing, and so. Yeah, I know Juan Manuel Marquez real well. I know Nacho real well, and good friends, and Freddie Roach, obviously, and so boxing is a small fraternity in a sense. So been fortunate to be around some of the best.
Freddie was my coach at the end. I trained with Freddie. Yeah.
Is that the connection with Mickey Rourke?
I actually introduced them.
Okay, I knew there had to be some kind of. That makes sense now. Yeah.
So Mickey tells his own story, but the truthfulness of it was Freddie came to stay. When I retired from boxing, I went to LA. I used to train with at Top Rank in Vegas with Freddie, and then when I retired, I went to LA, and Freddie was bored out of his mind. I think he had Virgil Hill, who retired, Marlon Starlin, I think, retired. I retired. And I think he was really bored. And I said, come to LA and stay with me for a week or two. And he came. And Mickey was going through some problems with drinking and drugs and marriage problems. And I said, Mickey, let's get you. Yeah, nothing new. And I said to Mickey, why don't you train with Freddie and, get in shape? And we started to train. And then the next thing you know, we decided to get him a few fights, but we were very careful of who we matched him with. And that's how they, the most important thing was he got healthy again. He got his life back together, and he made some, and he never got hurt.
I never knew the correlation. I just knew Mickey Rourke was training there, and for you to put them together, man,
But Bob, Gary trained Ronda Rousey too.
Oh,
yes,
she's one of my favorite.
Yeah,
you guys familiar? Do you guys remember Arturo Gatti? You remember Arturo Gatti?
He's incredible.
So Pat Lynch is a good friend of mine, business associate, and a good friend of mine. I was a lot younger when Arturo was coming up, but he was in Jersey City when I was in Bayonne. It's right in the New Jersey area. So I obviously met him. I have a lot of local boxing history here in New Jersey. The Bayonne Bleeder and his business partner, Bob Rooney Sr., his son, Bob Rooney Jr., runs the gym. And that's how I met Arturo Gatti and Pat Lynch. And I spent
a bit of time in Jersey, actually.
Really?
Do you know of a pub, Pat's Tavern?
There's a lot of Pat's Taverns in every city in New Jersey. I can tell you that right now.
We used to go after work and have a beer in Pat's Tavern. I remember.
You know what city that was in?
Hoboken, I think.
Oh my God! Yes. I grew up in Hudson County. I grew up in that area. I think Gary, you were on a panel already with Bobby Rooney.
He was. That was the one for the Mayweather fight, obviously, a couple years ago, obviously. So back in about a decade ago already, actually. So there you go. All right, guys, in closing, Rob, again, March 26th, your Wealth Summit. Tell everybody about it.
Yeah, listen, everybody, you guys, obviously, I can give you a virtual link if you want. I got really good speakers. Richard Dolan from the Dolan family of the New York Knicks. I have David Meltzer, who is the part of the movie Show Me the Money with Tom Cruise. David Meltzer is a sports agent. I have a local New Jersey doctor, but he's nationally known, Dr. Frank DeSantos, talking about functional medicine. I also have myself. I'll be speaking on the integration and coordination of money, time, freedom. And it's a kickoff event. It's our first physical. We always do virtuals. We're going to have over 100 business owners in the room, maybe 600 or 700 virtual. But we believe this is the first step into doing this on a quarterly basis where we start taking this. We're going to stay in Jersey for a little bit, but we'd like to start traveling afterwards. I would love you guys to come on. It's all good. Anyone of the following here at the amazing CY interview, I wasn't there from the beginning, but I got there halfway through, I'd say. Sometime around 2011 and 12, I started to see what they were building. And as you both know, CY interview is truly amazing. And what Chris has done with Jay, it's what legends are made of. And I'm speaking with two legends right now, and I'm so grateful. I do have to sign off, but thank you so much, Chris, and both of you guys. I can't mention how fortunate I am to be on a call like this. And quite frankly, the path that you both chose is awe-inspiring and motivational for me.
Well, we feel the same about you, so thank you.
I appreciate that.
I will send a link to both of them about your thing, obviously. Rob, thank you so much. Bob, where can everybody find you?
At Bob Santos Boxing. I want to let everybody know we got Lanier Perot is going to be fighting a title eliminator for the heavyweight championship of the world. Usyk, get ready because we're going to beat Miller here in Las Vegas, April 25th on the Zone. And then I got Cinco de Mayo with the David Benavidez card. I got Puro Mexico, Isaac Lucero. Redheaded Mexicans don't grow on trees, as we all know. Canelo. So Puro Mexico, number 6 in Ring Magazine. He's right there knocking on the door for a world championship at 154 pounds. And I got Juan Carlos Carrillo, who would be on the same card from Colombia, an Olympian, 14-0, 11 knockouts. So be looking for us April 25th. And the following week, Cinco de Mayo, baby. It doesn't get bigger than that here in Vegas at the T-Mobile. Let's go. Puro Mexico.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that. Before you, quick thing. Dubois fighting the Dubois fight and the two main heavyweight fights now is Dubois and
Usyk.
No. Daniel Dubois is fighting the
Wilder.
Wilder's fighting Chisora.
Yeah.
I want to know who you're picking that one, and then there's Dubois is fighting.
I think Wilder. We helped him get ready for his last fight with Zhang with Perot's little brother. So I think Chisora. I think Wilder obviously got a punch task. He's a big time puncher, but I don't know if this is there.
Yes, sir.
Wardley. Dubois is fighting Wardley.
How do I get this thing?
I'm taking Wardley.
How do I get that streaming on?
Okay, Chris.
Gary, when can we find out about your movie role?
Well, I'll tell you now quickly. It's a Stan Lee movie. Stan Lee did all the Superman and all the big Marvel comic films. He's the richest filmmaker in history.
Yeah.
Billions of dollars his movie made, all the Marvel movies. So before he died, he was about to do another movie, and his partner, he used to create the characters and then the story, and then he had a partner who would write the scripts. So about 8 years ago, I think it was when Stan died, they were going to make this movie called Legion of Five, and then Stan died, they never made it, and then his partner has just decided to make it. So I got one of the lead roles in that, so it's very exciting. The last of all the Stan movies.
We will have to have you back more to talk about that.
Bob Santos. Real quick, hold on, Chris. Are you in England right now?
Me, yes.
Okay, so I got David Morrell Jr. I'm not going to be his coach, but I'm managing him. He's going to be in a big fight there, April 18th. So I got to have my son connect with you out there and have you come to the fight. It's going to be for the world title. It's going to be on national TV. It's going to be.
Where is it? Do you know where it is?
I don't know exactly where it is. I'll find out.
England,
Somewhere in England.
Yeah. Okay. I'd love to. Be very honored and flattered to go. Thank you.
I will connect you both after this
Chris
call.
Chris can give you all my contact info.
I will contact you both.
My son's going to be out there. He'll be representing me out there with him. It's going to be a big, huge fight for the 175-pound world championship. David Morrell Jr.
Beautiful.
Thank you both.
I'd love to go.
Bob Santos, Rob Gill, Gary Stretch, always an honor to have you all on CY Interview. Thank you both. Have a great day, guys.
God bless you guys.